Good morning, welcome to Vicky 3 Academy. I'm Walker, and here we are discussing characters and personal ideologies today. So, characters and personal ideologies, they're kind of impossible to frame without having a short conversation about interest groups. Interest groups are these things that kind of make up your government. Interest groups are made up by pops who lend their wealth and political strength to them. But they also have these ideologies that sort of define the interest group and the people who are associated with them. And so these ideologies, they're going to have a lot of them that are going to be fixed to the interest groups. So for instance, the armed forces here, they're jingoists, loyalists, and patriotic, which means, that you can just mouse through and see what that means they support, but it means that the armed forces largely are going to be in favor of things that are going to increase the strength of the armed forces. And in this case, we have a moderate, which means that the personal ideologies of Jitoku Sotokichi, they do need to flip these names around. This is ridiculous, Paradox. You know Japanese name conventions are switched around like this. But his personal ideology isn't actually changing anything in the armed forces. On the Buddhist monk side, we do have someone who is interfering with our government, because we have a pacifist here. And so pacifists, they actually aren't bad. They help get you from peasant levies into national militia, if that's something that you want to be going for. They also have now a stance on colonization. And so this means that the Buddhist monks are now going to be out here trying to block us from moving into colonial exploitation, which is going to be really rough. We might want to just try forcing it through anyway, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating because if we want to go into colonial exploitation, that's minus 20 on the Buddhist monks' approval. So it's a big sacrifice, and that's a consequence of the personal ideologies here. Another thing that you find a lot is the personal ideology jingoist, being that something that you want to fish for with your landowner, because the jingoist ideology is the same as the jingoist ideology is shared by the armed forces, right? So if you re-roll your leader for your landowner into a jingoist, that's going to be really powerful for you, because it means that the jingoist leader is going to make the shogunate, or whatever landowner that's around, be in favor of switching from peasant levies and into national militia or professional army, which is just a big deal, right? That's a very, very big deal. But that's not the end of the line when it comes to characters and personal ideologies, because right now there isn't a governor's pool. I think that would be really fun to have a list of political figures that you spend bureaucracy on that aren't generals or admirals, but right now that doesn't exist. And so if you want to influence the interest groups and their personal ideologies, then what you need to do is you actually need to be aware of the characters that you already have. And so right now we have this Buddhist monk moderate character, we have a Buddhist monk theocratic character, a peasant moderate, an intelligentsia moderate, we have our pacifist here, and we have an intelligentsia abolitionist. So what that means is when the intelligentsia leader dies, who is currently a moderate, we might get a moderate character here, or we might get an abolitionist character here. And that's, I think, largely just the nature of the game, is you should be paying very close attention to the personal ideologies and interest group associations of your characters. And so one thing that I encourage people to do is, if you have a little bit of excess approval with your characters over here, see if there's anyone you want to hire and fire, just because that'll let you re-roll the ideologies on this screen. And then you can have a different list of potential heirs, right? So I know I'm never gonna want this dude, so I can just hire him and then retire him. It's gonna take the landowners off, but that's not that important. But here we have another Buddhist monk theocrat character, so we can hire another Buddhist monk theocrat character, and now we have another person who might step in to take control of the Buddhist monks after the death or retirement of the current character, Taro Ichinoe. So if we want to remove him from power, we can't Unfortunately, when you have just a pure general, if you fire them, they disappear from public life. But if it's an admiral politician combo, you can't be assured of that. We could retire him, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. If we retired him, he would be demoted to just a politician, at which point he might disappear from political life by just retiring. He's a very capable commander, though. I mean, it would mean sacrificing something, but it might be worth it just to retire him, so that way he'll have a higher chance of stepping down, and then we'll have a higher chance of getting a different Buddhist monk leader. Because again, we want to be able to switch out of pacifist and into anything that isn't going to oppose colonization, right? Because that's where we want to go. That's where we want to go. And so that's the sort of thing that you should be doing here in Victoria 3 when it comes to managing your characters and your interest group personal ideologies. Be pretty brave when it comes to hiring and firing people. Like, the landowner bonus here is 10% influence. I'm not even using that. There's no reason for me to not reroll here. Oh, we could get a theocratic armed forces character. I wouldn't hate that. A jingoist industrialist also sounds okay. But I'm not going to empower the industrialists any more than I need to, because they are going to be a little harder to keep happy. But yeah, by hiring a bunch of different characters down here and firing them, we will have another way for us to expend bureaucracy on political strength, which is going to be really helpful. So yeah, that's characters and personal ideologies here on We Play Games. If there's a list of them on the wiki, I don't want to cover like every single ideology in the game because there's just so many of them right now. But there's a list on the wiki, and I'll link it in the comments. Okay, thanks. Take care.